Oh, hello. My name is Reno, and obviously, this is my first video. So, I'm a traditional and digital artist. Traditionally, I like to draw Transformers fan art, robots, furries, anthros, nature, and more, such as like food and flowers, mainly using watercolor and dip pen. I use Mission Gold Watercolor, Black Star India ink, white paint pen, Holbien gouache, and ARTEU's hot press paper, or in this case, in this video, using Fabriano watercolor paper. And traditionally, I like to use Photoshop. Yeah, I know it's not cool to use the Adobe suite, but what can I say? I'm a prisoner. And using Photoshop, I like to draw character designs and Transformers adoptables. So, what do I plan here? I always thought the idea of making art videos seemed fun. I found that on YouTube, there was like a missing niche of robot and furry artists, but mainly for the robot part, you know. And so I plan on making that kind of art content, be it explaining how I draw or talking about my art journey. My goal with art overall is to be a freelance illustrator. Like, I can't imagine myself doing anything career-wise for the rest of my life that isn't art. So that's what I have my heart set on. So I will be probably slowly showing how I get there. I may also vlog showing my process on, like, I don't know, packing commissions or my stationery collection, as I love washing stickers and I like showing them, and so on. But also OC content. I love talking about my original characters and stories, so I will definitely be doing that. And sketchbook tours. Personally, I use the giant 600-page sketchbook, not because of that really old art challenge of finishing 600 pages in a month or anything, but just because the look of just drawing in this overly big sketchbook is fun. I don't know why, it just unlocks some creative part of my brain. And I just passed my 100-page mark, so I think that would be fun to show or fun to ramble about because it's just full of like original character doodles and other random stuff. So yeah. But you know what? Little baby steps for me first. So, and back to the art and the actual video content. So, as you can see here, I don't exactly dip my dip pen in the ink bottle. I opt instead to just use the ink dropper and drop ink on the nib of my dip pen directly. I don't know. I don't like the idea of just dipping my pen in the ink personally, even though that is what quote-unquote one is supposed to do, hence the name, dip pen, lol. But I feel like my method is just more cleaner for me. I don't know. However, I don't profess this video to be a tutorial of how to use certain art materials, and unless I state so, I probably won't be labeling anything as a tutorial, I don't know. So, anyway, the art. So, as far as OCs and stories go, I have a lot of them. And what I am drawing here is an art dump page of sorts featuring characters from one of said original stories. This one I called ARTEU. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic world in which sentient robots have taken over after humanity's self-inflicted demise. But don't worry, it's not exactly a doom and gloom story, as robots and humans coexist and find ways to repair the broken world and as well understand each other better. But I swear, it is a positive story. Or, I mean, I guess it would depend on one's view, as robots primarily control a lot what goes on, such as government and food management. But honestly, I'm not really a fan of the generic evil robot angle people go for, and I have my own personal philosophies about what an artificial non-human being would be like and how that can in turn be a whole can of worms, because I don't think robots, just like people, not every person thinks the same based on their cultural background or societal background or personal history. Same thing with robots, depending on where did their AI stem from, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, it's mostly speculative slice of life kind of work, focusing not just on character relations, but also eco-architecture and sustainability based on specific geographics. I actually don't have a lot of content on it online beyond character art or some toy house profiles, which are very bare, to be honest, as I have yet to develop the world fully. But yeah, that's where this piece comes in. For this year, one goal that I have is to actually focus on original character art and stories. This page focuses on the little red robot named RIVO, not to be confused with my mascot Rino. Lol. I know they look super similar, and intentionally so, as RIVO used to be my mascot, but I wanted to separate the idea of like a personal robot Sona mascot versus the actual character. So yeah, Rino came from RIVO, RIVO being an actual character, Rino being literally just my Sona interpretation of me. Anyway, so RIVO was a robot that was originally created before the main ARTEU storyline during what I call the reign of humans, or basically before robots rule, during like when humans still rule the world, in like a future aspect of our modern day. So V, as far as robots and stuff goes that aren't transformers, I use those different neo pronouns, and for RTU, most of them use the V-Ver system. I don't know why I chose that specifically, I just felt like it really fit. But anyway, so V was a mining robot that was labeled as very replaceable and disposable. His type 2 created to toil under the earth in search of minerals in very tight, dark places, never to see the light of day. However, one day, a mysterious accident happened that caused a huge cave-in at his mine, causing obviously a collapse, trapping her, Ver, and other robots underneath, and knocking Ver online. And sometimes in the distant future, in the reign of robots, or basically after the aforementioned apocalypse and robots ruling, V was discovered by a bulky green hermit of a robot named Unit, which is the robot that RIVO's hugging in this picture, that isn't the bunny-eared one. And V was taken to get repaired and awakened in a body and mindset and a future that V wasn't familiar with, and was taken under Unit's guidance. And so for RTU, for RIVO's story, V lives in this future in which V is the last of his kind, in which antiquated robots such as Ver and Unit are given license to live however they want. And so RIVO spends his time honestly just being super chatty and friendly and discovering how the world works, which is, I'd imagine, how I'd want the story to work, to slowly introduce the world via a character that also doesn't know how the world works. But V is also reflective and kind of goes flashes back and forth between what V had been through and what V is able to interpret what happened because now V has sentience, and so on. The little robot with the bunny outfit is named Ekis, a robot made during the reign of robots, that's more high-tech and without the solid and dark edgy past. Then they're best friends. And yeah, I should mention, I guess, the orange poncho RIVO wears was fashioned out of a blanket that Unit wrapped Ver in upon finding Ver, and Ekis' outfit is just straight up cosplay that V never takes off because V is a weeb, as anime and weeb survive the apocalypse. But I'll hold off honestly about talking about Ver or Unit or RIVO that much until I make art dumps and more concept pieces for them. Oh yeah, also note, all the names of the robots in this story of ARTEU is actually their model name, and it's all written in all caps, hence why here RIVO is just capitalized RIVO, RIVO. And so yeah, actually talking about the arrangement of the piece, I chose flowers that I felt represent some aspects of RIVO's story. Those flowers being roses, sunflowers, purple hyacinth, alstroemeria, hydrangea, lavender, eucalyptus. I admit, whenever I just draw florals, I go to Google and look up what flower represents certain traits in flower language. Which is funny because they always differ depending on what site you look up. But I still like the concept. It's like at least there's some reason I have it there, just other than to fulfill a need to satisfy my horror vacui. Anyway, like for example, Alster Maria or the Peruvian lily is sometimes said to represent friendship and be a flower given to support someone going through hardship, which RIVO would be, and be as friends with Ekis. And another example, I guess, yellow roses sometimes are known for friendliness and happiness, and overall RIVO is friendly and pretty happy. Hyacinthus sometimes means a sorry or an apology, and not gonna get too deep into RIVO's backstory or his own concepts or memories, but yes, V has those feelings. And Easter lily meaning innocence, also same thing, not gonna go too much deep into it, but V is kind of innocent because V doesn't know about certain things or the history and blah blah blah. And lavender is here because RIVO was a mining robot. Like, even though he's not really designed to look like one, V goes through different like bodily changes upon being repaired. So V looked a little bit more what you would expect a little mining robot to look like. But anyway, so mining robot, and I like to look up a lot of stuff about certain things, and one of them was about the history of mining stuff. And one story that kind of stick with me, even though I don't have all the details and all that stuff, is like how in Appalachia, along that mountainous belt in the US, that area was known for mining, I think specifically coal mining and other materials. And that damaged a lot of the nature and was a livelihood for a lot of the people who lived there. But in the modern day, kind of those mines started to close down and such, but in the wake of all that destruction, a lot of nature was lost. And one idea that is being implemented is the planting of lavender, which is believed to help revitalize the land, like the actual soil, as well as help the people in the area have some kind of like economy. Like, you know, making stuff with lavender and such. Like, I have to go back to that and look more deeper into it, so I don't like just spout a bunch of stuff I don't know. But yeah, that's something I kind of wanted to incorporate in RIVO in a way, as lavender for Ver would be reflective of where V used to come from, and probably in his own abandoned caved in mine there's probably lavender on there, you know. Anyway, so as you can see, I am definitely the kind of person who can take dialogue or like symbolism too much. Like, I can take the idea of a curtain being blue in a story and run with it and makes all kinds of fake deep symbolism and assumptions. I just find that really fun and neat, honestly. I also admit when I am drawing flowers and such, I do a lot of overthinking. And as this is an intro to me, I guess I can be honest about certain things. And a lot of the time, I do feel like some insecurity about my art style and medium. This is kind of mainly due to the fact that my main art community online, my main art community is online, and you all know how not great that can be. Which isn't to say I don't like the people online, of course, but it's neater to be able to know people in real life and be exposed to all kinds of different things people can be into, not just in my own specific niche. But for me, a lot of my issues kind of come from comparison. So I draw robots in the simple, cutesy style with traditional art, as where many of my peers who draw robots online, specifically in Transformers fan art, because that's kind of like where I started, draw them kind of digitally with bold colors or many details and kind of have all that going on. And people outside of my niche of like drawing robots and stuff, or in real life, kind of expect that art style from me in a way, and it's like being compared to others as well. I'm not a fan of it. Kind of makes me feel kind of bad, not gonna lie. So I tend to have this kind of feeling of being an odd one out, or being kind of dumb for not totally jumping into digital art, because that's kind of what I see a lot of people do. So, but I think I'm getting more comfortable in my own skin, or to say in my own art style, and figuring out what I want to do with it. So this video is kind of my first little step. Here's the part with audio, as I don't know, peeling off washi tape ASMR, I guess. Here's me showing off the piece. And so yeah, that's me. I'm interested to know what people think, or would be interested in listening to, or me discussing. Or I can just ramble, because I can totally do that. Or I can just show vlogs of me cooking. Yeah. So let me know what y'all think. And yeah, I'll just call it a day for now. My main social media platforms being Instagram and Twitter. I'd say by far mostly Instagram if we have to really pick, because I like to use Instagram stories to just talk and ramble, whereas Twitter kind of feels like an empty void. I don't know. So yeah, and my portfolio website is rinovarka.com. And so yeah, I'll leave it here, and thanks for listening.